What's going on, guys? Back with another video here, and I want to talk about, in this video specifically, yet another article that came out from, this time, the CEO of Whole Foods. So I want to kind of bring you guys this story because it is very important for you guys to hear this, to understand kind of where we're at in our economy right now, and especially what's going on with the wealthier consumers out there. I think obviously a lot of us already know that the middle class and lower class people are already struggling. Like, a lot of people are spending their savings, they're running up credit card debt, they are starting to rack up a lot of bad debt because they can't afford the higher prices. So we already know that pretty much for the most part, that is what's happening with the lower and middle class. But the upper middle class and even top 1%ers, the wealthier consumers out there, we want to also take a look at the behavior of those types of consumers as well, because that's a very important indicator for the economy also. So that's what I'm here to talk about today. Now, I was watching CNBC earlier this morning, and I saw that the CEO of Whole Foods was doing an interview on CNBC. And, the anchors of the show were asking him, hey, what's happening with you guys? We know that obviously Whole Foods is known for a little bit higher prices and stuff like that. So how are consumers exactly responding to these higher prices and inflation? Essentially is what the question was. And what they started to say is that, well, there's definitely been a change. We definitely noticed that our sales are slowing down. We definitely notice that we have to make some sort of a pivot here, because we have to make some sort of change to help out our customers with inflation and higher prices, or else they're going to do what they've been doing, which is either going to Aldi's, which, for those of you guys, I actually grew up, I was born and raised in Portland, Oregon. We did not have Aldi's, so I didn't know what that was until I moved to Florida a few years ago. But, a lot of people are going to Aldi's, which, if you don't know what that is, it's basically like a store that is just known for low prices. They don't have like a huge selection, which is what allows them to keep the prices a bit lower. But they do, that's what they're known for. People go to Aldi's when they want to save money. All right. Nothing wrong with it. Aldi's is great. I've been to Aldi's many times. Nothing wrong with it at all. I like Aldi's. But people are going there obviously because they feel the pressure of these higher prices. And that's the whole point of these videos, guys, is that when people feel these higher prices, people start to feel the pressure from the economy, the spending is going to go down, and you will see businesses starting to slow. You'll see earnings reports start to get worse. And we will probably even see a contraction in the economy, which will lead to recession. So that's the big thing I think most people are worried about is, hey, this inflation, these high prices, they're going to definitely cause a slowdown in the economy. And that's what we see happening right now. So as I said, anyways, the CEO of Whole Foods is getting a little bit concerned here because people are leaving and they're going to other places in order to save money. Right. So Aldi's was one of the places that he talked about. The other place was Walmart. I already did a video about Walmart and the earnings that they had. I mean, Walmart is preparing to get a big surge of people. Right. So when I talk about stock market investing, I told you guys that, I'm not a big fan of these niche places. I'm not a big fan of these types of businesses that are catering to wealthier customers, because even when the wealthier customers, even though they don't feel inflation as much as probably the lower end consumers, they are still starting to feel the effects of it. And so when that happens, you're going to start to see a change in behavior. You're going to see a response. And this is what starts to happen. They start to look at their budget, look at their spending. Hey, we still need food, but instead of going to Whole Foods, we're going to go to Aldi's, or we're going to go to Walmart, where things are a lot cheaper, better price, and it's convenient too. Walmart, you can get it just delivered to your house, or you could just go to the place, they'll bring it out to your car, and then you just go. You don't have to go into the store. You don't have to spend a bunch of time. So the convenience is a big factor for these wealthier, higher end consumers. At least that's what the CEO of Walmart was saying during the earnings call. So when it goes back to the Whole Foods CEO and how they're responding to these higher prices, and what they've seen is people leaving Whole Foods, going to these other lower priced, more cost conscious grocery stores instead. And so the question that they were asking on the interview to the CEO of Whole Foods was, well, what are you guys going to do about this? Are you just going to lose a bunch of money? You're going to lose a bunch of customers? Of course not. So what they decided to do is, if you go to Whole Foods, what you might have noticed is that when you go to buy something like sugar, you know, you can buy the different brands that they have there. You could buy the organic ones, which are more expensive. But you might have noticed that in Whole Foods specifically, they have a brand called 365. 365 is basically like the private label brand that is carried in Whole Foods. And I was reading in an article that 365 now produces about 3,000 products. So 3,000 different private labeled products that are carried in these Whole Food markets. And so what they're thinking about doing is expanding that, right? Because when they have when they have a private label product that is sold kind of by like under the Whole Foods branding, they can, sell it for cheaper. That can help out the consumers. And so when there's more selection of these lower cost items or these lower cost options, that can help out the consumer and hopefully retain them from going to other stores like the Walmarts and the Aldis and things like that, right? So the whole point of this video though is what the takeaway here is that wealthier consumers or the higher end consumers are starting to feel the effects of inflation. And this is a really bad thing because wealthy consumers are the ones that are still driving the economy. They're the ones that are still out there spending. They're the ones that are still out there traveling and going on a vacation. And as envious as I may be for people that are out there doing all that stuff and spending money, because that's exactly what I want to be doing, you have to understand that if we aren't doing that, if we aren't driving the economy, somebody else has to. And if it's these higher end consumers that are still spending, then so be it. But as soon as we start to see those higher end consumers start to scale back because even they are feeling the effects of inflation and they are feeling pressures from higher prices, then we'll start to see dramatic slowdown in the economy as well. So this is a big stark warning that's coming from Whole Foods. If you think about it, is, hey, our customers are even starting to go to Walmart. And like I said, if you're starting to get some ideas here about stocks that you can invest into, you have Walmart, right? Walmart, I think, is a great option, especially overall. Whole Foods is owned by Amazon, so you wouldn't buy Whole Foods stock. You'd buy Amazon because Amazon owns it. But as I've said many times before, this is what actually makes Amazon a pretty awesome stock, because even if Whole Foods is starting to scale back and you start to see consumer behavior changing over there, well, Amazon still has all of these other businesses, all of these other verticals that they're able to capitalize off of to still produce really solid earnings, even if Whole Foods is starting to drag down a little bit. Maybe web cloud services, maybe e-commerce starts to tick up a little bit for people who want to save money. You never know. This is why I think Amazon's got a lot going for them though. But as I said, Walmart stock, really good stock, and obviously the earnings were amazing, and we see just things going in the right direction for them. But another idea that I had is things like Target, right? Target is another brand that has realized we cannot just have these ups and downs in our sales. We need to introduce more staples into our products like groceries. Why do you think every single Target now has a grocery store section? They also sell clothes. They sell makeups. What do you see Target doing? They're starting to put Ulta stores inside of the Targets because guess what? Makeup is a defensive type of product. It's the demand of it is pretty inelastic. So people tend to buy makeup whether we're in a recession or not. So take a look at these types of stocks. I think if you're looking to be invested into retail in that sort of space, which isn't really necessarily even my favorite sector. My favorite sectors are going to be all the ones that I talk about in my online investing club. For people who are new and want to see my watch list and see the stocks that I'm getting into, you can join the investment club down below. The information is in the link in the description. But I don't want to talk about that too much in this video. What I want to talk to you guys about mainly is what's happening with the wealthier consumers and how they're starting to feel the effects of inflation, and how this is a big sign for the economy going forward that we might just start to see a serious slowdown slowdown and potentially throwing us into a recession. Because if these wealthier spenders can't even keep up with the high prices, then guys, we are absolutely screwed. The economy is going to start to slow. We're going to potentially go into recession, and that's when things get worse. But as I said before, even if that happens, even if we go to the worst case scenario where we start to see a recession, I do believe that the government will come in and kick in some stimulus. Even if it starts to lead to higher prices and more inflation, I think that they would rather have the stimulus over the recession. So those are just my thoughts. So anyways, I want to know what you guys think would happen if we did enter a recession here very soon. How would the government respond? Would we get a bunch of stimulus? Would we start to see more inflation, right? I've already told you guys my thoughts on this, so now it's time for you to comment down below, because I've been absolutely loving the comments that you guys have been reading. I read all of them, and I love to read them. So please do continue to comment and tell me your thoughts down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.